Hello there. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. One more person killed by excessive flooding, sweeping away lives and livelihoods in northern Ghana. This time, a child, taking the death toll to 11. We have the story so far as we engage Meteorological Agency and the National Disaster Management Organization in pursuit of some answers for the victims. And 23 killed in one day as accidents continue to wreak havoc and bring pain to families. 7 people are battling for their lives. We bring you the story of how 2 separate road accidents recorded in one day killed so many people as we explore what at all can be done. And also coming up, 4 domestic workers charged with murder for the death of a University of Ghana law lecturer. We'll tell you what we have gathered from the court today, including what else was found on him when his body was finally discovered in his home. Join us on DSTV 421, Gold TV 144. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube and on myjoyonline.com. Join us with your thoughts as well if you wish. 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. One more person has died in a flooding situation in northern Ghana following spillage of the Bagre and another dam as well as heavy rains. The death toll now stands at 11. A 10-year-old is said to have been the latest casualty. The child died on Tuesday in the North Gonja district of the Savannah region. Spillage of the Bagre Dam is a long-standing problem which for years has destroyed hectares of farms, destroyed properties, killed and displaced people. There is no end in sight yet as a government project to trap the water when spilled has stalled due to coronavirus, according to the Upper West Regional Minister. We'll be speaking to NADMO and the Meteorological Department shortly. But first, here is a news desk report on the situation.
On the 8th of September, at least 6 people died with many displaced after the Bagre Dam spillage and heavy rains wreaked havoc in communities in the Northeast and Upper East regions. The death included a 3-year-old girl who died in the Bunkurugus district. Houses collapsed, farms either washed away or submerged, roads flooded, and communities cut off. The flooding has spread to the Savannah region, where an 11-year-old died, and the Bono region. Here is Savannah Region NADMO Director Mohammed Tahiru.
About 9 communities have been affected, 750 people. And then there are other communities hard to reach areas that we are struggling to get there and get the total number of affected persons. In fact, National have not left us. They gave us education about the spillage. We did enough education, and they've also added resources in case of emergency. So currently, as we've come to assess and then have actually seen some of the affected persons, we'll go and prepare.
Already, the Ghana Water Company Limited in the northern region has hinted it will shut down its pumping station in the Kumbugu district. Each year, there is a recurrence of this phenomenon, but the authorities say this year has been the worst since 1997. It is the hope of residents in these affected areas that a contingency plan is put in place to mitigate the impact this will have on them.
So that gives you an idea of the story so far. Let's now go on to the phone lines. We'll speak with our Savannah region correspondent, Isaac Nonya. Hi, Isaac. First of all, how is the weather there today? Hello, Isaac. Isaac, do you hear me? We're trying to reach Isaac Nonya, our correspondent there, to tell us a bit more about how this 11th casualty died. Who is this person? What do we know about this particular person? But let's go to the Upper East region. Work is ongoing there to reconstruct the portion of the Bolgatanga-Boko Road that was washed away by the recent floods.
to reconstruct the portion of the Bolgatanga-Boku road that was washed away by the recent floods. The eastern part of that region was cut off from the capital, Bolgatanga, as a result of a gully of about 20 meters that was created on the road at Kubori in the Boku West district. Drivers of cargo trucks are currently stranded as they are unable to cross.
Because
problem adia yani bibia wa ha yehunda mama yefo ha ezuzu yani duane ndi wa ntuntum wie wa problem bia yanim de kosu domadana basbra onkan se tedi so maba yede ebe sete yatimi ko obia mba nka bibia dis nan nesu yeyi wuram sa na hunse panyfo yede ebe ho natun se kwemba iba fasu nantimi me kwa yede eko kwemba ne ba fasu nye duane di wa kwemba ne ba fasu SB wa enne yenye wa na ti ano nti pekwan abafaso na yenyina atime den ekọ bebe ayekọ ana yenye problem bia obi an yare wa yenni bibia wa yen didi wa yenni bibia a obi an yeduan papa me ya wa eti nti the problem no okay we did the same your problem ya kase wa did the same we did Yusuf Muhammad okay the problem I was wa no ya obi an fie even kwa duan ko obi an kase ko ye ho banyofo me yeduan abra driver for na jan the dog say almost 200 cross me wa obi asum mboaye yenim de koso wa.
But JoyNews' check on Wednesday afternoon revealed that work is ongoing to fix the road, which shall be open again within the week. Here is Upper East Regional Director of NATMO, Jerry Asimini, assuring road users that everything is being done to patch the roads.
People are unofficially using boats as transportation across the bridge, which is not officially approved. So that is where the attention is. But as of now, government has brought in equipment. Right now, the contractor has mobilized to site. Equipment have already been yesterday. I was there with the Deputy Director General, Abu Ramadan, and the Regional Deputy Minister, that is Frank Fushene Adongo. We're all there, and some of the media were all there to have a look for ourselves. The water is receding, and we are hoping that the government is trying to expedite the construction of the place, and it is hoped that when this is done, the drivers would get the opportunity to go.
Let's touch base with our correspondent, Albert Sori, who is in the Upper East region. Hi, Albert. Albert, what is the situation at the moment?
Yes, Gifty. So the road is still being fixed as we speak. It's not clear how soon the work will finish because there seems to be a lot of work, as you saw in the visuals. But the authorities are hoping that within the week the work should be done, and then the road will be reopened for use. For now, people who want to go to Boko from Bolga, or the other way around from Boko to Bolga, need to use an alternate route through the northeast region, through Gambaga, and then to Wale to come to Bolga, which is a very long distance. So that is what is happening. But for now, the road is still being worked on.
Let's talk about the victims of this tragedy. There are a number of people who died. I think about 4 the last time we spoke, who died in your region. What is the update on those who were camped in school buildings because they had lost their properties?
Yes, so yesterday, the NADMO office received some relief items These items were donated by the Volta River Authority, mainly because they are also involved in the construction of the Kwalugo multipurpose dam. So they were just doing this as part of their corporate social responsibility. Now, it was there that we got the opportunity to interact some more with NADMO to know exactly what is happening with these people who are displaced. For those who were still being housed in that building, in the school building, what we were told is that for now, that is where they have to continue to stay. Because as we speak, even though the flood waters are receding, the houses are not safe for people to stay in, because at any time, these are mud walls, and so at any time they collapse. So the advice is that these people will have to continue to stay in the classrooms for now. They will send some relief to them. So they are providing mosquito nets and food, blankets, and all that to make their life, to make their stay in that school comfortable. For the farms, most of the farms are still flooded. So what they are doing is that they are still collating. As at this morning, when I spoke with the regional NADMO director, he said that his operations manager was still sending in more figures as to farmers who have lost their farms, people who have lost property, and all of that. So the sense we get from all of it is that NADMO is still doing the assessment. 2 days ago, the national director, Abu Ramadan, came to the region, and he also joined the regional NADMO team to tour all these affected areas. It will take some time before relief gets to everyone who is affected. For now, they are concentrating on those who are homeless and those who are the most vulnerable of all the affected people.
Albert, I thank you a lot, but I want to find out whether the rains have stopped. I mean, it's been a while, a couple of days now. Have the rains stopped, or is it still raining?
The last time we had rain was on Friday. That rain actually stopped the vice president's second day, the second day of the vice president's tour of the region. Since then, we did not have rain, but at dawn today, there was some rain, although it wasn't heavy enough to, further cause any damage. We had rain today, but it wasn't so much.
Albert, thank you very much, and we'll be coming to you as and when there's any new development. Albert Story is our correspondent in the Upper East region, bringing us more. Let's now go on to the Savannah region. Correspondent Isaac Nunya, I was trying to reach him on phone. Hi, Isaac. What is the weather there? How is the weather looking like there today? Isaac?
This morning up to now, yes.
Please go ahead.
The weather here is cloudy. Somewhere in the morning between 8 and 9, it drizzles, but it has stopped. And areas like Wasipe in the North Gonja district, where the flood happened heavily, we have heavy downpour, unlike previously where we used to have only flood water coming in direct from the White Volta. This time, it appears the heavy rain downpour has contributed to the impact that residents are facing at the moment. We realize that from 9 now to 14 communities are being affected. And most of the residents who are in these areas are peasant farmers. And to relocate to higher height to avoid more disaster, these farmers will not move. The few who have accepted to be moved are relocated into the Wasipe Senior High. And the NADMO officials who were there yesterday were rested, were able to give them some relief items like rice, blankets, and that of system to keep them comfortable while waiting for the officials to come with more relief items to make them more comfortable. I will speak now. The child who was found dead yesterday, we're told has been buried. In fact, he has been carried from his own community to 2 other different communities far away from the original place that the parents were searching for him. Though NADMO official on the ground didn't know about the incident, the family were told by a nearby community that they found such a child in the area. So NADMO was in turn informed that, look, we have found a child that was washed away by the flood. So they got there, and that was the incident.
So let's talk a bit more about this child. What more do we know? So from what you narrate, I understand it's a boy. What more do we know about him?
Yes, originally they said he was a boy. Now, he has come from the parent that he's not a boy, it's a girl. He's second of 5 of the siblings. And we are told that because they were in school, these children were going out to play. Those who returned couldn't tell the whereabouts of her till late in the night when the parents started blowing alarm about their missing child. All along, they didn't know that the flood has carried her away till they were told that they have found the lifeless bodies of this girl. Their parents, we are told, went to the police station the latter part of yesterday after Nadmo has left the environment. And then before Nadmo also got information, they went to police to inform them that this is the case. They have found a lifeless body of a little girl in the area. Then the parents were invited to come and identify the lifeless body. So for now, the impact is moving downwards, other community close to Central Gonja, which also shares the Volta Lake. But unlike the North Gonja, where the white Volta ran direct from Bagri to the area, they are currently suffering. And we are told Nadmo from now we're going back to the ground, if possible, to apply force per the directives of the chairman of the RESEC here, Salfu Adam Brahma, to evacuate them from where they are now. Some of them houses have fallen, the flood have come over, and they are sitting on benches that have been submerged by the flood. So that's the incident here in North Gonja in the Savannah region. Has
there been any response from authorities there?
You mean Nadmo?
Yes.
Yes, Nadmo are those that are saying that they have to comply by the directives given by the regional minister here, by forcing the people out of where they are now to higher height where they will be able to minimize the disaster. Because Nadmo is expressing fears of more water coming over. Because it's not only the flood water, but the heavy rain downpour. Any month from now, if there's another downpour like 2 days ago, the situation will be very worse. And that's what Nadmo is trying to avoid.
Thank you very much, Isaac Nonya, for that report. Isaac Nonya is a Savannah region correspondent. Now, the Deputy Director General of NADMO, Abu Ramadan, has also been touring some part of the Upper East region.
The team that has been sent from Accra to come and look at the situation, we've come here with the regional minister and MP, together with our regional directors, to look at assess the situation. First and foremost, our priority is to look at how we can save lives. And in saving lives, with these small canoes help save lives of people without the life jackets and all of that. So we came to look at the possibility of putting some boats on the water to help ferry the people from the other side to this side, whilst government is looking at ways of fixing the road permanently for the trucks to also move. So that's why we're here.
So is there any possible of getting an emergency bridge for them?
Yes, government is looking at it. As the Vice President came and left, the team is looking at what should be done immediately, and the team is working on it. And we can assure that in the very soon, because now the water is receding gradually. So we are hoping it will recede faster than it is now, so that it will make it possible for contractors to come in and fix the road.
The drivers
has asked their data to be taken, so that based on the data, between today and tomorrow morning, we can send some form of emergency relief to them, so that we can help alleviate their suffering a little bit whilst they wait for the road to be open for them to move.
I know prior to the Russian race and the opening of the Bagri Dam, NADMO has been educating people to leave the banks of the river. Are you still doing it?
At this stage, we've moved beyond educating people to move from the banks of the river. Now, we're looking at how to save the properties and the lives of people. The farmlands that have been audited, trying to prevent people from going in to attempt to harvest at this time, is the direction we're looking at properly. So that's what we're looking at. But now, our main goal is to save lives, so that we don't get more casualties as we already have. The small even we have is a lot for us. We don't want any more. So that's where the drive and the goal is.
Okay.
Abu Ramadan there. The Ghana Meteorological Agency has issued a weather warning indicating more rains are coming. What are the implications of this? Well, the head of Central Analysis and Forecast Office, Felicity Ahafianyo, joins me on the phone with more, actually on Zoom, with more on this. Madam, thank you so much for your time. Let's take a look at the weather pattern over the years. We'll look at what's happening in the northern part of the country that's wreaking havoc on the people at the moment. Did we do a forecast of this?
Thank you very much, Gifty, and good afternoon to our viewers and listeners. In terms of weather forecast, I think, Jimet, you are a witness to that. We have been trying our possible best to be issuing the forecast to the public as and when necessary when it comes to the weather warning. In terms of the seasonal too, we have been up and doing. This year too, we've come out with the forecast for the season. And then in the season, we come up to say that there are some areas are likely to have slightly above the normal rainfall season. And then some areas are likely to have below the normal rainfall season.
I'm just trying to figure out if we're able to, have any predictions for this area. But let's take a look at what's going to happen in the coming weeks across the country. What patterns are you seeing so far?
Yeah, for the predictions for the areas that are in question now, yes, Gibet, we have been trying, and then the only thing is once you are done with the forecast, how to get it across to those concerned is a problem. Not will bear as a witness. We always send them the forecast, and they are also been using it. For the way forward for this week, the remaining of the week today up to Sunday, the north will still have some rain, and likewise those of us over the coast. But then the intensity is going to reduce a little bit. It's not going to be as we have been observing for the past few weeks, and even the one that passed over them last night. So the center was over Burkina Faso, and then we have the edges grazing over the upper east and part of the upper west region. So from today to Sunday, then we are anticipating just the normal trend that we have been observing. Then next week, from 22nd to the 29th of September, let's say to the end of the September, we are looking at slightly below the normal rainfall. So those over the north, yes, they still should expect some rain, but then the intensity is not going to be too much. That will cause havoc. But then the ground is already saturated, so the flood will still be sustained a little bit longer than expected. And then hopefully by third week of October, the rains will cease over the northern sector, which will give a relief for the runoff waters or the flood waters to drain, and then later the bare ground drying up for the people to make way of whatever they want to do.
And so for these areas that are already flooded, you're saying that the rains will continue, but it won't be as heavy. And you also indicated that usually what happens is that you put out this information, but how the appropriate agencies manage it or what they do with it is another issue. Is there any existing, coordinating work between your agency and NADMO, for example? What is the nature of this relationship?
Yes, with GMET and NADMO, we have been in constant relationship for years, and every day they get our updates. And then per interactions that we do get feedback from them, once we issue the warning, they also dispatch their officers to the various areas of concern. And then they also give us the concern that if we could be giving them the exact time, the area that will be much heat, then they will also be very, very appreciative, because once you give it out, they have to dispatch most of their staff onto the field. So we are also working on that. So with NADMO, yes, we have been in constant relationship. We've been giving them the forecast. Every day we issue 3 times forecast for the day, and they have been getting it. But then how they have been using it, that one we don't know. But in terms of the weather warning, yes, they said they have been using it and they have been working with it. So we've not seen it physically, but we believe that, yes, they have been using it.
So, so the past 2 weeks, you gave them the weather prediction, which indicated that there was going to be heavy rainfall in these areas where 11 people have died now.
Yeah, our daily forecast, yes, when you check our daily forecast, we will give you the forecast, and then we'll tell you that we're having a 60% or 30% chance of thunderstorm with rain over the individual areas of concern. So we give it out to them, and so we have the record. If you like, we can print them out for you. to look at it. But at times we mix one or two, but then in general, they are aware that yes, a storm is passing over that area.
From your perspective, what can we do going forward to make sure that this relationship that you have with this disaster management organization improves and it gets better so that 11 people aren't killed, for example?
Yes, I think everything boils down to communication, and then if the media can also come on board once we issue the warning or it comes from NADMO through us, I think you should also have to take it up and announce it to the general public, those areas concerned, so that they can also take precautions. And then if it comes to the individual, we as an individual, we as a citizen, that is why it's another big challenge, because Ghanaians don't even still have faith in Ghana Meteorological Agency's forecast for the day or for the season. At times they give it a doubt. So when you issue the warning, they want to see it before they take an action. And it's about time that they should, once we issue the seasonal forecast, and then per their own observations over the years, they know over the north between August and September, the place normally flood once the Bagre Dam is filled. They should make provision for that between this and this time. And if we also come out with the seasonal forecast that we are anticipating above rainfall, then they should find a way of relocate temporarily to a place. Then after the rains have subsided, you get back. If you travel out, you go to USA, hurricanes, tropical cyclones, they announce and they relocate people. And some still insist to stay behind, but most of them allow themselves to be relocated. So if we can also adapt that procedure, I believe that next year by this time we'll not be talking about this, but rather we'll rather be looking for ways and means how to improve more so that we can save more lives and properties.
Sad news, but thank you very much for breaking this down. And hopefully, so the point I get you make is that the fact that Ghanaians do not have a lot of faith in the meteorological agency seems to be a problem for you when it comes to taking action on your predictions. And I hope that we're able to deal with that. Thank you. Madam Ahia Fianyo there with the Meteorological Agency. Now, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has been struggling to adequately support these victims. How are they preparing to mitigate the impact of the imminent crisis as the Ghana Water Company prepares to shut down their pump station at Nauni in the Kumo district? George AC is head of communications for NADMO. He's joining me on the line. Mr. AC, it's been a while. Thank you for your time. Good afternoon. Mr. AC, it looks like you are muted and your video just froze on me. Let's see if we can get this well done. Can you hear me, sir?
Can you hear me? I've unmuted.
Yes, you've unmuted.
I can.
Okay, let's see if we can do this. Now, I want to... Yes, I'm just having a conversation. I just finished having a conversation with the Meteorological Agency. One of the points they make is that they've been providing you with constant updates on weather forecast. So what it means is that NADMO was given information that this was going to happen, that there was going to be heavy rains. And we also knew that the Bagre Dam was going to be spilled. What did NADMO do to avert this crisis? Now 11 people have died on our hands.
Yeah, thank you, Gifty. Yes, we have that collaboration with the Meteorological Agency. They indeed give us daily updates on the weather patterns and what's going to happen. So when they relay the information to us, when they give it, we relay it to all our regions and then districts. Okay, so that is done. In this particular case, we got a message, and we have a constant relationship with the Sonabel authorities of Burkina Faso. They also informed us they were going to spill the Bagre Dam at the Kumgenga dams. We dispatched an advanced team headed by our Deputy Director General. I saw him on your screen, Abu Ramadan, and the team to the places. We pitched camp in Tamale and Bolgatanga. And we carried out sensitization from the early first week of August. From the first week of August until the start of the spillage around 13 thereabouts. Okay, and then the rains also set in. We have conscientized the communities about the impending rainfall that is going to meet the spillage, to compound the situation or aggravate the situation. So we have done all these things, but unfortunately, the floods were so heavy with the spillage and the rainfall, it entered into the communities where the people were living, and it actually caused the havoc that it did. Some of the most of their buildings are, mud houses. And so when the rain rises, when the flood rises, it affects the building and some collapse. 3 people died as a result of the collapse of the building. The others 2 were trying to cross, and we know the reasons in upper east, northeast, and then upper west, the challenges that are there. So NADMO was aware. We have carried out sensitization. We have integrated some of the people in these communities among their people on higher ground. And those who are closer to the banks have been moved away. But unfortunately, the flooding issue was bigger than we anticipated, hence the unfortunate situation.
It is an unfortunate situation indeed. Then again, NADMO comes in. We have victims who don't have anywhere to sleep, victims who don't have food to eat. What is the plan? NADMO, we know, is always having problems when it comes to resources. So walk us through the plan, Mr. Isi.
Yeah, thank you, Gifty. As you heard from your correspondents in the Upper East, we've put some of them in schools. We've given them blankets, mosquito nets, pods, and all that. And then we've given them food ration. The VRA is supporting the regional administration, the district assembly, and NADMO itself has dispatched food items, relief items to the places, the affected places, and we are taking care of them. But as your reporter said again, the number of people affected, some have been integrated with their families in the communities, and so we need to take some of these relief items to them. But those who are put in schools and then designated areas, we are supporting them with food ration as we speak. And as we speak, NADMO is continuing procuring more relief items. As we speak, we are buying more relief items to go and augment what we have in the northern part, especially with the case of Tamale or northern region, where Ghana Water companies' machines have been affected, and which is causing the high possibility of the water supply network. This is something NADMO is also going to look at, the alternative of maybe getting water tanks to supply water to areas that will be hard hit. This is something we are looking at in case the water shortage begins to hit the people of Tamale and its environs.
If you say you're looking at, it will be instructed to know exactly what has been done, what is going to happen, because if Ghana Water Company is shutting down their pump, it's obvious that there is going to be water shortage. So have you done anything, or I mean, where are we? Specifics.
Yeah, our Deputy Director General is up there. We are in touch with the district chief executives and the regional minister. So we are working. NADMO is putting its plans out there, and then it will meet the plans of the regional coordinating council and the districts that will be affected. So we roll out these plans. NADMO is working in tandem with all these people. Of course, the fire service is also, we are working with fire service, the military, and NADMO are also on the ground inspecting the situation so we can know the hard hit areas, and then we roll out our programs to support them, especially on the water situation.
Yeah. And before I let you go, those who have been affected and have received maybe a blanket, mattress, food, I mean, that's for a couple of days. What should they expect? Should they anticipate any further help in the coming days?
Yeah, Gifty, you just told all of us that Mercury said the rain is going to go on. It's going to continue for some time. That means their situation is going to get worse. And so NADMO is on standby to continue to support them. We are not going to leave them in the middle of this challenge. NADMO will continue to support them. And if we have to get them to integrate with families in safer areas and higher grounds, we'll do that. Fortunately, I think places that have been affected are being reconstructed to allow access to other places. So as long as people are affected by the flooding, NADMO will be there to carry them to safety and then to support them, keep body and soul together until this whole thing is over. We are on standby and will continue to be supporting them.
Mr. Isi, we thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
You're welcome.
George Isi is Head of Communication for NADMO. And for those of you up north who are going through this crisis, our hearts goes out to you, and we'll continue to stay on the issue until it is resolved, hopefully, by government. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty and Dwapia. Why don't we take a very short break? We've done a couple of stories so far. When we return, we'll take a look at how 23 people died in one day in 2 separate accidents. We thought that we were doing well with the accident situation. We'll be talking about that. We'll also take you to court when we're learning from the death of Professor Bene, what was found on him when his body was finally discovered. Details of that coming up shortly. Stay with us, please. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, state prosecutors have revealed that deceased law professor Yao Bene, who was murdered, was found with rug stuffed in his mouth. 4 persons arrested in connection with the murder of the professor, who is also a senior law lecturer at the University of Ghana, have been charged with murder. These individuals are persons who rendered services as cleaners and gardeners at the residence of the deceased lecturer. Professor Emmanuel Yao Bene was allegedly murdered at his Adringano mansion in Accra. Court correspondent Joseph Akablay was in court as the charges were filed and reports.
According to prosecutors, the law lecturer was found dead with his hands and legs tied with a rope. A rag had also been stuffed in his mouth. The 4 individuals are persons who worked at the professor's residence and are being held pending further investigations. The charge of murder has been leveled against them. Lawyers for 2 of the accused persons are already challenging the work done by the police investigators. A member of the legal team, Robert Suma, on Wednesday told the court the prosecutors failed to show how the accused persons are connected to the crime. He urged the court to grant them bail, insisting despite being saddened by the death of the lecturer, the police must carry out thorough investigations. State prosecutors opposed the bail application, saying investigations had just commenced and the application was premature. The court, presided over by Liano Butche, denied the accused person's bail. The case has been adjourned to September 30 for continuation.
Joseph Akablay with that report. Now, the total number of deaths from 2 separate road accidents recorded yesterday has now reached 23. In Tichurure, police has confirmed 3 new deaths, bringing the total to 17. In last night's accident at Gomwa Adam on the Kaswa Cape Coast Highway, 6 persons have been confirmed dead. Isa Abubakar was a passenger on the Toyota Hiace. He's been telling Adum News what he witnessed.
Na free Kaswa yeba sanko Cape Coast. Enti yeba ne hu ya ne se Ford driver no or you overtaking.
We're coming from Kaswa to Cape Coast. All of a sudden we saw the Ford driver trying to overtake a car.
Immediately
he came into our lane, he ran into us, causing our car to spin and face backwards.
That's one of the survivors there. Now, medical superintendent of the Apam Catholic Hospital, Dr. Paul Acha, says the 7 people in critical condition are stabilized, but they need to be referred to a bigger hospital. However, no hospital is ready to admit them due to lack of space.
2 drivers are well. 14 people were involved. 5 passed, and then 7 had serious injuries. We are having difficulty with the referral, hoping to get spare space in other places. But if we get a best space, we'll refer them to the according health facilities. But they are all stable. The 7 are stable, currently stable. We've managed them, but 5 were brought in dead, so they are at the morgue. So they are all men. all men. Would, if they can do it dual carriage, it will really help, because the head-on collision, if it was a dual carriage road, there will not be any head-on collision for there to be such a mass road traffic accidents.
Now, in the meantime, Palm District Fire Commander DO1 Adolf Nkuma Nuyama has been describing the accident as one of the most horrible he has witnessed.
6 p.m. we were called that there was an accident around Gumwa Adams and Gumwa Chirunkwanta. Actually, when we went there, it was very horrible. It was headlong collision, Ford Transit and a Toyota Haze. So we were actually, when we got there, we saw that those at the front, both cars, they were all trapped. But we observed that those at the Ford Transit, they were already gone. They were dead. And those at the Toyota Haze, they were crying. So we have to make sure that we work fast. So we did the curtains and everything, and we were able to release them and gave it to the ambulance before we went to the Ford Transit to also make sure that we release the dead bodies and give it to the ambulance. Taking and was speeding must stop, because according to eyewitness, it was an unnecessary overtaking by, I think, the Ford Transit or so. So actually, when we went, it had already happened, and the cause and everything will be left for the police. But that is what we know it happened. It's overtaken. So we are pleading with the drivers that this road is very hot road, so they have to make sure that they reduce speed and they will be very much careful when driving.
Meanwhile, the National Road Safety Authority is planning a reconstruction of the accident scene at the Chichire accident to aid in the prevention of future accidents there. My colleague Manuel Kranting was out and about getting the thoughts of players in the industry on reasons why the accidents keep recurring and perhaps how they think we can address this problem.
On the road, that breakdown vehicles, and at times where the actual accident spots happens is vehicles pass by the side of the roads loading and break down vehicles. In case this
the towing system
that was brought up some time ago from former President John Ajekun Kufuor's time, and things have gone on well, and we are paying this maybe our 20 cedis in addition to our roadworthy, and there's a breakdown and you give a call, definitely they will come and tow the vehicle by the roadside or on the road. It is in place. For instance, the hotspots between Teacher Mante and Chichire, that's normally...
Chichire is the place we had the accident yesterday.
Yeah, and Chichire, we've lost a driver there, where there was a mechanical fault from a vehicle from Accra going to Kumasi. And our driver was coming from Mampong. He saw the vehicle coming upon him, so he tried to swerve, but there were parked vehicles beside. So he couldn't go off the road for the vehicle and he had to lose his life.
So by no double road cry my enia, and not a protest for no conny lame, not a young son kitty and so conny lame and cababua papa. Why? Your man is a son and young canny Dawson. So if we are since why this, you can send in your man to Banum Why. I will acquire Nassam. Why?
So she's telling me that there is a situation of the road, essentially talking about the road not being a dual carriage, but that particular Eastern Corridor road, has been in the books for long, and she's complaining about the head-on collision, which as a result of the fact that the roads are not dualized, and so you just run into a forthcoming vehicle most of the time.
Yeah, no more kasapa. Obu ha uka say want to no bokra na ni buafu. Nti bebre minim de ha omo nti omo yesa. Nti yesra ban. So omo ya awufu yi ne abatanfo. Omo aye pa.
ne bibia nya yie yesra na ni diem yesra pa so onya kwan ne yie mayen
a problem pa because so we study as Saturdays ni Fridays se ka se si kwan mu a enkodu anyi ka abum se saade no so nko mutimi buaye na se itimi saade ni free one ma beboa se ka se ya na betwe free one ka se na betwe free one ma and they starting there oh yeah and be come was but e duru ba beti ase na it jagisa e to the crana be fato winka na be toto kas na free come beboa no so beboa pa
iti mo petowing
beboa pa
no so beboa but I am ko amuso mo nya abotre wo kwan so
o abotre the station there o de ubusa obia station there e shemras ntitam bia careful. Be careful.
Pamela been fan to home because Melana driver for home driving no huntino. Omutimi de opabia so call what come no ya call overtaking and who here over speeding. What I want ye women about family been to drivers for no I'm so many lives so
Esra ban so ne driver for no nkasa. Odu ba bia photo no one onto ne boko asumdiem. Just say ye nam kwa so kra ne yom chichi ye. Ye ma ye busua ene ye kunonom ayam chichi nko na de nam o.
So let's get on Zoom now. We have Nanaya Kwada, who is with the Bureau of Public Safety, joining me. Nanaya, it's been a while. Thanks for your time this afternoon. We've seen your report on safety, and two key things that are in the top or are at the top: road accident and murders or manslaughter happens to be, you know, at the top of the key safety or security issues we have in this country. And we've just done about two of those stories right now. From where you sit, as we continue to talk about this, is there a solution in sight at all?
I believe, good afternoon. I believe your question should be, is there an end in sight? Certainly there is a solution, but as to whether the people in charge of affairs are ready to implement the solutions that will bring an end to this is the bigger question.
We'll talk about the solutions. Let's just, for those who have not seen this report, try and look at it briefly and to let people understand what we're dealing with here. So you looked at between January to June, which is pretty short. But the things that you found, so you found that road accident account for what, about 52%?
Yes. Well, what we got between January and end of June this year, we observed that if you compare the statistics for this half year against the statistics of last year, half year, incidence of road crashes has increased by over 40%. We then looked at the casualties. We also realized that the casualties, both their injuries, cumulatively or in total, has also increased by over 20%. And this has been the trend since 2015 when we began this exercise. Year on year, period after period, the statistics keep going up. And that is what led us to conclude in the beginning of the year that our roads were the most dangerous place to be. Today, the trend hasn't changed. Today, road crashes is the leading cause of accidental deaths in Ghana today.
And so you also touched on, we'll come back to the road accident, but you also touched on murders, on manslaughter. There's a bit that I don't understand, and I'd like for you to elaborate a bit. But take us through what you found as far as the murders, manslaughter, reported deaths, etc. What you found there and what it means to us.
Okay. We also realized in the report, we have, when we release the full report, hopefully by end of next week, you understand that we have violent crime category. And under violent crime category, that's where murder, manslaughter, suicide, assault, aggravated assault, and all those things fall. We observed that in that category, murder and manslaughter cases were in the lead. We observed that if the same period this year, if you juxtapose it against the same period last year, it has murder and manslaughter cases constituted 30% of all violent crime cases, as against 19% in the previous year.
Yeah.
So this has almost doubled. And we think that there is a need for us to, as a country, to begin to put a lot more effort in how we prosecute issues of murder. We realize that the commission of crime, violent crime, with the kind of tools people were using to commit violent crime, also the gun input in there had also increased by over 20%, as against last year. So the people who are committing such crimes, what we gathered was that they were getting bolder and bolder. And whereas if previously you will find them possessing the guns and not using it, now they do not only possess those guns and machetes as instruments of intimidation, but they will actually use those tools if they are challenged. And so they are becoming more lethal in their endeavors or in their practice.
More lethal gun use. Did you factor in anything about the registration processes and the gunshots we had with the registration process, the violence that characterized some of it?
Well, you know that we are looking at 10 portals, of which I think my Joy Online is one of the portals. So once the story comes in, there is an injury, there is a death, there is a source of worry, it causes public civil disturbance, that story will be logged. And subsequently, when there are any casualties, that one will be logged as well, pending validation. And so I believe that while I cannot tell you which story was logged and which story was not logged, I believe that gun incidents at the registration center might have been logged in our data.
Let's take a look. The part that I didn't really quite get was the death count. There's something written as death count increased by 26%, and then there is a bit that says reported cases increased by 3%. Do you want to elaborate a bit on that? I don't really get it.
Okay, I believe reported cases actually decreased by 3%. Now, there are violent crime cases that may involve multiple deaths.
Okay.
So just so people will understand, you won't go to town and say, oh, violent crime cases have decreased. It has decreased. We want to let people understand that whereas case by case basis, if you compare half year this year to half year in 2019, the cases may have decreased. That is to say, if we had like 68 crime cases in previous year, we now have maybe 65 cases. But we are not out of the woods yet. The number of deaths that these 50 lesser cases recorded far outnumbers the number of deaths that we recorded in previous year. And that's what we meant by death count. So even though reported violent crime cases had decreased by 3%, the death counts had increased by as much as 26%, which is why we concluded that people perpetrating violent crime are no longer using their tools as tools of intimidation, but they are actually using it, and using it not on one person or two, but they are using it on multiple victims.
I see. Let's.
So you could have one violent crime that produces multiple casualties.
Okay. Wrap up on the summary of the reports for me with suicide. And with the suicide, I want to find out what population you used and whether there are specific things that account for the number, the percentage of suicide. You're looking at 66% increase in suicide?
Yes, absolutely. And if you know, the BPS Watch report is largely based on what we we monitor from the various portals, the 10 selected portals. And in previous year, January to June, we monitored a number of suicide cases that were reported. And yesterday, I was in a webinar by the Ghana Psychology Association. I know they are trying to get suicide decriminalized, but for now, it's a criminal offense and it's a violent crime. And so it falls in our category. What we monitored for previous year, what we monitored for this year, showed an increase in reportage of 66%. So if fewer reports were coming in, which means fewer cases of suicide were occurring, now it has increased, and the increase, we estimate it to be 66%, at least by the data that we have gathered from these 10 portals.
Okay. Let's wrap up this conversation and back to the accidents that have been recorded. Just yesterday, 23 people have died on our roads. And this is a conversation I've had several times, or sometimes I ran out of questions, honestly. Ran out of questions as to what to even ask, what to even say. But I have a report on that accident that occurred yesterday. And it makes, it writes a few things. Hopefully we'll be able to find more. First of all, it indicates that the driver of the trailer and the assistants cannot be found when they got to the accident scene. But then it also summarizes what ought to be done. And I think it's more like a recommendation. I don't know if you have seen the report, this particular report.
Report from where?
It's a report from the National Road Safety Authority. It's called the Preliminary Crash Report. So what they found essentially...
We haven't cited that report. We have not cited it.
Okay. So essentially talks about the immediate action that was taken. And I'll just read that to you briefly. So it talks about the vehicles that were involved. A trailer carrying flour from Burkina Faso to Accra, and then it crashed with a Kia Grand Bed, and then there was also a hit on an STC bus, so 3 vehicles involved. The immediate action taken was that the Suhum District MTTD secured the scene. They paved way for the road safety people with the help of fire service to clear the road for free flow of traffic, and the injured were taken to hospital. They say that the team followed up to the police station and they couldn't find the driver of the bus. I just want to take your thoughts on it after I have read, there's a part that was recommending something. I'll find that. But so far, what do you make of this, despite all the conversations that we've had? Are these things just really inevitable, or are we still doing something wrong?
Well, let me commend the National Road Safety Authority for rising up this quickly to the occasion. I know the new road safety bill gives them such authority and such mandate to issue some of these, preliminary reports. I think we should commend them. That said, I think the report lacks a few more details that should have been in this preliminary report. The fact that the vehicle is a Burkinabe registered vehicle, or is it Ghanaian vehicle bound for Burkina Faso? If it is a Burkina Faso registered vehicle, one would expect that in this preliminary report, at least if we cannot find the driver, we should have the driver's name in there, possibly his picture, no matter how blurred it will be.
What we have here, because because you say you haven't seen the report, let me help you with this. What we have here is a car number. So the car number is 11JL6112. That doesn't sound Ghanaian to me. Doesn't look Ghanaian to me.
That's not a Ghanaian plate. That's not a Ghanaian plate. So we should know.
And my producers, my producers are just hinting me also that the driver has been arrested.
Thank God.
Right.
Thank God. And I think that's really swift. And so from what the National Road Safety Authority, I think we should commend the Ghana Police Service, because we are really going to descend heavily on them. Because aside the incident involving Ghanaian lives, it borders on national security. 24 hours, if we could not locate a driver of a foreign vehicle that has crossed into our territory, we cannot trace the driver, and we cannot trace even his identity. That would be very, very disturbing. And so let me commend the police for such a swift action.
Okay.
I would want us to also, once we get copies or we cite this report, whatever we have to say on it, we will. But for now, I think that the Road Safety Authority and the Ghana Police Service have really gotten our better side.
Very well. I'll just end with this by saying that the report says that the Suhum and Sawam Highway should be dualized. It sounds like it says remarks, but of course it's more like a recommendation that's been made by the person who put together this report, who is Abdullahi Bawa Gamsa. And hopefully in your advocacy work, this is something that you want to push as a recommendation. Usually these recommendations will just get stuck on the paper, but it's up to us to take it up and make sure that it is done.
The worry with recommendations that come in, in such manner is that it often takes the whole discussion out of appropriate context. Because 15 people died, 23 people, 15 people rising to 23 people are dead. We should be looking at root causes. We should be looking at significant causes that when we eliminate, we can save lives than moving into dualization or assuming that even the government decide that I want to go into dualization today. It's going to take us several months. But if we decide that we are going to enforce the laws on speeding today, it takes effect now. And that is what we have said since time immemorial, that if we can tackle excessive speeding on our roads, we can more than halve the fatalities, the casualties in no time. And once we have halved the casualties, then we can move on and look at things about road engineering and all that. So without due respect, while I respect the report, I don't think that this is the time we should be talking about dualization of roads.
Right.
What has happened to our spot farming system? What has happened? There are very low-hanging fruits that can take off today. And those are the things we want the state to begin to take action. It hurts so much that year on year, people like us will come and sit on radio and television and be repeating ourselves when the solutions are there.
I get you, and I get that feeling all the time. We as journalists have to report the issues over and over again. It does get tiring, but we keep going. We'll see how it goes. Nanaya, thank you so much for your time. Nanaya Akwada is with the Bureau of Public Safety there. Now, as we talk about the 23 people who have died, mind you, 80 people were injured. Now, former Secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, says governments did not set specific timelines in the fight against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. Mr. Bisu, therefore, is asking Ghanaians to hasten slowly in their critique of government's efforts. According to him, the introduction of the Galamsey software to aid in the fight against Galamsey, coupled with the training of about 4,000 miners on good mining practices and the provision of QR codes to allow easy monitoring and evaluation of mining activities, all falls in line with government's 2016 pledge to restructure the small-scale mining industry. Charles Bisu has been speaking in an interview with JoyNews.
I remember 10th of July 2017, the president invited all the chiefs, most paramount chiefs, to Accra and pleaded with them to help him solve the problem. It wasn't done previously, was it?
Okay. Has the problem been solved?
We're getting there. Okay, so if you're asking the problem, has the problem been solved? How long did it take for the problem to be there? You have no measurement of that, do you?
No, but that's not what Ghanaians want. It's about the pledge. And you admit that the president himself has said that he was prepared to put his presidency on the line.
Yes, exactly.
Just to fight illegal mining.
So I'm getting there. You see, I will get to the president putting his presidency on the line. So I'm saying that the measures, first of all, the president, as a respecter of the tradition, called the chiefs to Accra and said, invited them that this is what I want to do, so please help me do it. The land belongs to you, but we want to, develop this country. And the chiefs heeded, and they helped the government. Out of that, about 4,000 to between 4,000 and 5,000, both illegal and legal miners, then we call them unregistered miners, were trained at the University of Mines and Technology, which very soon will be Alfred Grant University, right? Once it goes through Parliament. Now, they were trained there on how to mine responsibly. And then there were other trainings done. So we did the vetting, and then we realized that we have 1,350 properly vetted, knowing the owners. Previously, you didn't even know the owners of the concessions because the documentation wasn't done properly. So now they have to come in with limited liability company so that we know the directors behind this. We use something called director's duty. Whoever is actually hitting the surface of the earth or doing anything can be actually held culpable. And then there was the introduction of the Galam stop, where every data of a miner will be in there. You have a QR code where you scan and it gives you the details of each one.
Charles Bisu was forced to resign following the Anas expose. Has also been dismissing claims that he was complicit in the fight against illegal mining, or in that particular saga. The presidential staffer says the Anas expose does not reflect the true picture of what transpired between him and the Tiger IPI person. He says he is confident that the special prosecutor will exonerate him.
I would, first of all, the police exonerated me. The special prosecutor is going into the matter. He's actually still investigating it.
He's still investigating?
Yes.
Have you been there because they complained that?
I've been there. You've been there? Yeah. Everybody, all those who allegedly were involved have been interviewed. So I'll wait for him to finish. But the premise that you have...
But you believe that you'll be exonerated too as well with the special prosecutor?
I believe that I am clean. Did you see the person handing over the cash? Can you tell me the person?
No, we saw the video that, I mean,
exactly. So I will give you. So I will give you this phone, and then he'll take a photo of you without me, and then I'll go and write something and put my.
Is that what happened?
I'm not going to go into it, but I'm saying that.
For Ghanaians need to know what happened. I mean, I think a lot of questions have been.
No, I'm not.
Some say you've been defamed. Others say no, you really were complicit in the act. So at least for the viewers and the people.
Okay, I'll tell the viewers that what I will tell the viewers that vindication is in the womb of time. If I tell you anything now, then it means that the special prosecutor should not be doing anything.
But when you say the police has already vindicated you, so perhaps the special prosecutor is even null and void at the moment.
No, it's not.
Is it material to the situation at the moment?
It's not. I've submitted myself to the special prosecutor. Let's allow him to finish. But I'm answering you, this question because you came from a premise that leases were being handed over.
Yeah, I mean,
no, there was.
The Anas video captured that they're giving money.
No.
That they had come for a concession as well.
I mean, let's answer the first one first. You said leases were being handed over. It's not true. It wasn't a lease matter or anything like that.
You didn't give any concession to your cronies?
No. So I think we'll end it here because the special prosecutor is investigating that matter. But like I said, vindication is within the womb of time. Time will tell. And you know the wheels of justice also grind slowly. Let's allow it.
The police were fast, were swift in dealing with your matter.
Yes. So
Ghanaians are surprised why the special prosecutor is sort of delaying.
You know when you go to
getting this issue.
When you go to Kanishi Station, some people when you go to the GPRTU station, people might want to travel from Kanishi to Abekana Pass. Somebody would want to load at the station. I mean, get passengers from the station, and then others would want to, pick passengers alongside the road. But they're all going to the same destination, aren't they? But different approaches. Okay. So let's allow them to finish with whatever.
The NDC said that the president shielded you, and that is why you were not punished. I mean, for.
But I stepped aside, didn't I, for investigation? Has anyone stepped aside for investigation?
You wanted prosecution, not stepping aside. You felt that, listen, you've let the country down. They entrusted so much trust in you that lead the charge against illegal mining because we want our water bodies to be clean. And yet,
I think
people went round to.
Let me make it clear. It's not because I'm not comfortable with this interview.
Okay.
It is because the special prosecutor is dealing with it. Okay. So I think you've went through the front door about 3 times, and I'm not giving you the answers you want. You want to use the back door, and I'm going to conclude again and say that vindication is within the womb of time. I have not taken any money from anybody to circumvent anything. Let's allow the special prosecutor to finish with his work. He has his own approach. Okay. Once we finish with that.
Now, from 2007, Araba Kumsin has risen through the ranks in a highly challenging newsroom environment to become editor. But her journey hasn't been a jolly ride, breaking many stereotypes about women in journalism. In a series of stories looking at JoyNews' longest-serving journalist as part of our 25th anniversary, my colleague Justice Bedu is telling the Araba Kumsin story.
Araba Kumsin, 14 years, anchoring, reporting from Parliament and on the ground for JoyNews.
How the reception area has changed. 14 years, wow, what a transformation. I walked in with trepidation because I didn't know what to expect. This was Joy FM. I was scared. Because I was coming to face what I'd call giants.
In a country where few women make it in this job, hers has been a fascinating story of dreams. So what has changed about the JoyNews journalism over the years that she has been here?
We hadn't had technology developed at the point that we have right now. So we were using, tape recorders. Recorders at the time were using a tiny record. They weren't this tiny. I'm sure I think they were this big. It was bulky sometimes. It was even a challenge sometimes because sometimes you'd want to interview somebody, but because of the bulkiness of the recorder, it puts people off and they wouldn't want to record. So at the time we were using recorders like that.
Araba wants many other young women to come after her, walking in the footprints that she hopes to leave behind someday.
My position is that you shouldn't always look back. You should always, face forward because, there are new opportunities that come every day. I don't think a lot of organizations can boast of being around for 25 years and thriving. The personnel here can compete with anyone across the world, globally. And so I can only say the future is bright for multimedia heading into the next 25 years.
But until that moment comes, it is going to be her silky voice and firm journalism broadcasting on radio, online, and on TV from Fanofa Street here in Accra.
Rabzo, that's how we call her here. Araba Kumsin with her story, and hopefully it inspires young people, including you who is watching. Now, St. Rosie's SHS, Ostino Senior Technical School and the Koforidua Secondary Technical School have all qualified to the 1/8 stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Koforidua Secondary Technical School is the only school in the Eastern region to get a perfect score of 10 for the problem of the day. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Competition here in the Eastern region. The first round of contest for the day just ended, and Koforidua Sec Tech, they've qualified to the 1/8 stage of the competition. They came up against Benkum Senior High School and then WBM Zion Senior High Technical School. But the big thing for them here, for the contestants here, is that they're the first school to score, to get a perfect score for round 3 of the competition as problem of the day. They got 10 out of 10, right? And also, they won the contest with more than 30 points. The gentlemen are here with me. Let's speak to them, find out from them what the feeling is like. Your name? And then tell me, what was it like winning this contest? Was it a walkover for you?
Well, we just came to put on our best. Then, our good Lord being on our side, we came out victorious.
How did it go for you? Did you expect to win with more than 30 points?
With God on our side, we expected to win with more than 50 points.
You expected to win with more than 30 points. Okay. Are we going to see that in subsequent contests?
For subsequent contests, but now the aim is just to win the contest one after the other. So whether we win more than 30 points, it's better to do that before the contest.
What targets have you set for yourself?
Okay. Our main purpose right now is to make sure that next year of the contest, our form twos will not have to go through all this stress that they will be seated in the competition next year.
Thank Thank you very much for speaking to us. Let's speak to your teacher. The teacher is here. He trained them for this particular. Training for this competition and the pandemic.
Yeah, it was very difficult anyway. With the students not being around, we had to mostly work with online, sometimes on Zoom, sometimes on Facebook, sometimes on other applications. So it was very difficult. Yeah.
Maxwell has also been interacting with contestants from and students from St. Rose's.
Joyful hearts sing with peace and love. To God we pledge our love from St. Rose's. Our service to all men, to our mother will be loyal. Our motto ever be roses to uphold. Knowledge and racial leadership life from St. Rose's. Our hearts are glow, our spirits go high. Our rising and you from St. Rose's. Take a stand for our motherland. To God we pray along from St. Rose's.
Congratulations, girls. Let me start off with you. Who was crying? Someone was crying. Tears of joy. You, come closer. Is it Lois? What's the name? Lois. Lois, tell me, what's the feeling like? You've qualified to the 1/8 stage of the competition. What's the feeling like right now?
I'm speechless. I'm so happy because we know that what happened on stage was just God. Okay. It was just God who saw us through everything. He has done it for us. He has done it.
I can still see tears in your eyes though. Congratulations. What should we expect from St. Rose's? Who else was it? You were on stage. Tell me, what should we expect from St. Rose's in the 1/8 competition when it comes to account?
So we want to say a very big thank you to the Almighty God for bringing us this far. And we know that He is the only one who has called us here. And it was by His will that we are here. So you guys should expect nothing but the best from us and also God's will from us. Thank you.
Fantastic. Who else was the third contestants? Oh yeah, tell me, do you think a girls' school is going to win the competition this year? We've been saying this, for many years we've been saying this. Do you think a girls' school will win this time around for the first time?
There's no reason why a girls' school cannot win the contest actually. Okay. So why not? A girls' school could win the contest for this year. Or not, or a boys' school could win. It's a dicey situation. Anything works.
Okay, but you would prefer girls' school to win, right? Okay. Possibly St. Rose's. Yeah, I'm asking.
Sadly, I'm a girl, so I am biased. So please, I believe that a girls' school should win this year. But the boys' school can try. Why not?
Great. Thank you for speaking to us, and congratulations once again.
Maxwell Agbagba with that one. And remember, our coverage of the 2020 National Science and Maths Quiz is brought to you by JoyNews, your most credible news channel, and supported by Bright SHS Kukrentumi, building dreams and shaping the future. DBS ColorLink Plus roofing sheet, roofing Papapa Fie, Adonko hand sanitizer, Korompus Ro, and Adonko Next Level energy drink, the premium energy drink. Situation in Europe continues to take interesting turns, and as you know, there have been several Africans involved in these migration issues. Today, in our crossover to Germany, we focus on the refugee situation there and do a quick update on the Russian politician Alexei Navalny, who we are told is out of coma now. Emmanuel Chase is correspondent with our partners DW. She joins me as usual from Berlin. It's good to have you, Emmanuel. Let's start with Mr. Navalny. What's the latest on him?
Well, Alexei Navalny himself took to social media yesterday to share a picture of himself on his hospital bed, and he said he could now breathe without any external help and even take a few steps. And he said that he didn't intend to become a political refugee here in Germany, but will go back to Russia eventually. And earlier this week, the doctors at the Charité hospital, where he's hospitalized here in Berlin, had confirmed the progresses he had made, even though they didn't want to give any indications as to what long-term consequences Navalny's poisoning would have on his health.
It's still a developing story and we'll keep our eyes on it. But let's shift our attention now to the refugee situation. We know that pressure is mounting on Europe after fire destroyed the Moria refugee camp on the island of Lesbos. How are German authorities handling this migrant situation at large?
Well, you might have heard that the German government agreed, like the coalition government agreed to take in more than 1,500 migrants here. But you also have to remember that the issue is really controversial here in Germany. 5 years ago, there was a very defining moment in Germany when Chancellor Angela Merkel said, "Wir schaffen das," we can do this. And by that, she meant that Germany would be able to handle the influx of migrants that suddenly came in during the summer of 2015, and Germany took in fact far more migrants than any other EU countries, and as a result German society became quite polarized, very polarized. In fact, we saw the rise of the far right, we saw the rise of racist attacks as well. But we have to remember that 60% of Germans view favorably the arrival of refugees in their country, even with 40% who don't. And some people here in Germany still fear that the country will do more than any other EU member states in terms of welcoming refugees. But all in all, we saw all across Germany people protesting and calling out the German government to do more and to take in more refugees.
And despite all that you have said, we know that migration is still a controversial issue in Germany, sometimes even political. Why is that?
Well, you see, the government just agreed to take in more than 1,500 asylum seekers, but that was also subject to discussions because within the coalition at the government ahead, well, there are conservatives, there are social democrats, and they don't necessarily agree as to how many asylum seekers should be let in. For example, Saskia Esken, who's the co-leader of the social democrats here in Germany, wanted several thousands of refugees being taken in, and so far we've talked about 1,500. It will be mostly families with children, that because they are prioritized, and they will be taken in by different region states. This comes on top of the 400 refugees that the European Union had said they would take in the immediate aftermath of the fire. But Greece, for example, asks for more help, since in Moria camp alone we are talking about more than 12,000 asylum seekers stranded there, and that's only one of the Greek islands amongst many where refugees arrive.
Let's end it with, and you may have addressed it in some of the answers you've given me already, but Chancellor Angela Merkel has severally called for a joint European solution to this problem. Is there a solution in sight on this call?
Well, in Brussels, the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen confirmed that there would be talks next week about establishing a refugee camp which would be run by Greek authorities and European agencies. EU Council Chief Charles Michel said that the EU must provide a just and a strong and an efficient response to the migration problem. But the opinions here in Europe between member states are divided. You see, for example, Greece or Italy or Spain, which are the first responders, which are the countries where refugees arrive, demanding that other EU states step in and do take in more asylum seekers. And on the other hand, you see countries such as Hungary or Poland who are totally opposed to it. So we're far from a common migration policy, which is much needed at the moment.
Emmanuel, thank you so much for that update. Emmanuel Chase is correspondent with our partners DW all the way in Berlin. Thank you. There is more news at myjoyonline.com if you do log on. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. Let's do this again tomorrow.